gonna do something a little different than I've done before. I'm gonna talk about a movie that I saw last night, and I really love seeing movies, especially horror movies, or scary movies, or whatever you want to call them. I love it. I watch a lot of horror movies in my spare time. Very rarely does a horror movie come out, a new horror movie come out that I find myself wanting to go see, or worth going to the theaters to see instead of just waiting until it comes out on DVD or on Netflix or whatever. But last night I went and saw The Visit with my sister for a lot of reasons. One, because obviously you're not going to go see a movie unless the previews interest you, so that was a thing. Also, it was directed and created by M. Night Shyamalan, who is one of my favorite creators, directors, whatever, of all time. It's amazing, but we'll get into that later. If you haven't seen previews for The Visit, it's essentially about these kids, and they go to visit their grandparents in kind of the middle of nowhere, but they go to visit their grandparents for the first time. They've never met them before, and they go, without their mom. So it's just the two of them, and they go to visit their grandparents. However, when they show up, shit starts to go down, and they're like, whoa, what the hell is happening? The grandparents are just like, oh, we're just getting old. And that's kind of what they chalk it up to, is like, oh, we're just old. I don't really want to get too much into spoilers, but the movie was incredible. Something that I really, really appreciated was that because the creepy parts of it were human, they were they were the grandparents, it meant that it limited them to what they could do in terms of special effects. I feel a lot of the times when scary movies have, ghosts or possessions or, this or that or the other, it tends to give the creators and the directors and the people behind the movie, it tends to give them this kind of creative freedom to do whatever they want to do with special effects, and that's not necessarily bad until they go too far. I find a lot of horror movies now, they can do so much with special effects now that it kind of gets crazy sometimes, and it kind of gets to be too much to the point where it's either not realistic or it's too over the top to even really handle, and I can't stand that. It really bothers me when I see, like a paranormal or supernatural movie or whatever, where, they use special effects, whether it's crazy big special effects or whether it's just, one after another after another after another. I kind of like things that are more organic and things that when it shows the quality of, the creator's mind or the director's mind or, the makeup artists or the whatever, or the acting of the cast, which is what leads me into my next point. The main characters that you see most, there is the mom, but the main characters that you see most are the two kids and the two grandparents, and I have to tell you, they did an incredible job. When you have kids as main characters, you obviously have to hire child actors, and I am not discrediting child actors. They power to them, they have to go to auditions and get rejected and deal with that. I could not handle that as a child. So I'm not discrediting child actors, I'm just saying that sometimes when you see a movie, especially a horror movie, there are moments where you say, oh, this is obviously a child acting, instead of, oh, this is a child existing, this is a child being organic and being real to who they are. In this movie, there was no moments like that. There was no moments where it pulled me out of the movie because it made me realize that, oh, these are actors. And they did amazing. I feel like they stayed so true to their characters throughout the entire thing. even in the little ways that they reacted and the little movements, which I feel like takes other actors like years to be able to stay in character through no matter what they do. And I feel like these child actors did an incredible job at that. Staying on the path of the children characters, I think this is a combination between the writers and the actors, that they seemed like real children throughout the entire thing. And what I mean by that is that there were no moments where I thought this is not how a child would react to the situation. I feel like when people use children as main characters in the horror movies especially, they forget that a kid's not necessarily going to react the same way to a situation as an adult or as a teenager or, you know, as an older person. And so they make them either seem too mature, or they go the opposite end and make them way too over the top when it comes to reacting to certain things, unless that's their character. My point is that these characters were done so well, and they picked such great actors and actresses that I very much believed and felt while watching this movie that these kids were real kids. Their characters were real people, and they weren't, you know, written up or typed up by, you know, writers somewhere for a movie. And I wish that I had looked up the child actors or the actors' names ahead of time, but I didn't. So hopefully Stephanie in editing remembered to look it up and put their little names like somewhere on the screen. The next thing is, and again, I have to kind of be careful when I talk about this because I don't want to talk about spoilers, but earlier I mentioned how M. Night Shyamalan is one of my favorite. His movies are some of my favorite movies of all time, and he is the king of plot twists. Nobody can do a plot twist like he can, and I say that because I am such a fan of plot twists. I will get a plot twist wherever I can take one. You could put a million plot twists in a movie and I would like be a sucker for every single one of them. It doesn't matter if it's a cliche plot twist, if you could see it coming or whatever. I am such a fan of plot twists. I think it makes things so much more interesting when you're misled and then boom, it's something completely different. But I feel like the way that M. Night Shyamalan always exposes his plot twists or brings them about or tells the audience about them is always so powerful without being over the top, which is so important to me because it pulls me out of movies when things are over the top or over dramatic. Unless it fits the situation, like maybe that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's so important that if you go over the top and you do something over dramatic or the character does something over dramatic or whatever, that it has to do with their character or the movie. That's so important because if not, then the entire movie is just kind of a waste, because what did you build that character up for if they're just going to go off the wall and do something crazy without a reason? This movie was done to the point where up to the moment that the plot twist is exposed to you, you're completely misled. You're not even thinking for a second that it could be what it actually is, to the point where you're focused on something that doesn't even matter that much in the movie, but you don't realize it because you're so focused and thinking this is the cause of everything else that's going on. Because you're just so focused on thinking this is it, this is the problem, this is what's, you know, the issue. Once we find out what this is, everything's gonna make sense, etc., etc., etc. But that's not the case at all, and it just kind of hits you so hard, and it helps that, again, the actors are so amazing that it pulls you in, and it really feels like, holy my goodness, you know, this is actually happening, this is actually a thing that goes on, or that's happening, and that these characters are experiencing, instead of, oh, these are actors, this is a movie, this isn't real. And it was just, overall, it was just an incredible movie. The makeup certain characters was done really well. The overall atmosphere of the movie, it's shot from the perspective of the 15-year-old daughter making a kind of documentary. And it's great because I usually hate those films where it's from, like, you know, the characters filming. But it's done so well. It's steady camera work the entire time. It's not like shaky. It's steady camera work. They really have great angles, but again, also angles that you would believe, oh, this is a child. This is, you know, this is an amateur filmmaker doing this, instead of, oh, this is a professional cameraman who knows what the hell they're doing. I could see this is something that, you know, a 15-year-old put together while staying the quality of a movie that you want to go see in the theaters. Everything tied up really well in like a nice little bow at the end, and it was just a really great movie. Part of me wants to be able to talk more about it, but I don't want to give too many spoilers. I feel like I've already kind of given some things away, but I don't want to give too many spoilers about the big points of the movie or what it really is about or what, you know, really ends up happening. It's good to go into that movie not knowing much about it, which I feel kind of bad for even kind of exposing you guys this much to it, but I would just definitely recommend it. I would honestly give it, out of like a 5-star system or whatever, I would give it 5 stars. I can't think of anything that I thought, I would have liked it if this happened, or I would have liked it without this or with that or whatever. Everything was there for a reason. Everything was there for a purpose. If there was anything at all that I thought in the movie, why did that happen? That was weird, or that seemed kind of pointless. It ended up always tying back to something in the end. Everything was always connected. Everything was always there for a reason. It's rated R, and you can't see it unless you're 18, unless you get somebody to take you that's over 21. So I'm sorry if you're not. You can always, you know, find it online, or am I gonna get in trouble for saying that? You can always find it, you know, or wait till it comes out on Netflix or whatever. Again, so worth the money. So worth the money, and it's not too scary. That's the thing. If you're terrified of horror movies, it's not too extreme. There are some jump scares in it. It wouldn't really be a scary movie if there weren't at least a few jump scares. But I can say, and I guess this is a bit of a spoiler, but I can say now that if you're worried about not wanting to see a movie with demons or supernatural things, that's okay. You can see this movie. And maybe that's a little bit of a spoiler. I don't know exactly what you consider a spoiler for this type of movie. Again, definitely worth the money, definitely worth the time. And that's really all I have to say today. I hope that you enjoyed me rambling about this movie for however long. If any of you guys saw the movie and want to, you know, share your own insight or talk about it, maybe you didn't enjoy it as much as I did, or maybe you did enjoy it as much as I did, I would love to read about it in the comments below if you want to, you know, share your own thoughts or insights or whatever. If there's a video that you want to see me do, or something you want to see me talk about, or a movie that you want to see me talk about, or whatever, you can also leave that in the comments below. And I would love to hear your guys' suggestions and hear what you guys want to see. Thank you so much for watching if you stuck around to the end. If this was your kind of thing, or if it wasn't, either way, thank you for sticking around. If you enjoyed, please hit that like button. It really helps. It encourages me to keep making videos, and it just makes me happy. If you want to see more videos from me, you can hit that subscribe button, and YouTube will tell you when I put out new videos. Thank you again for watching. I love you guys so much.